So, my name is Dan Kirby. I'm a PhD student in Dublin City University in biomedical physics, and I'm the chairman of the Students for Sensible Drug Policy in DCU. So we've organised this event in conjunction with Support Don't Punish. So Support Don't Punish is a worldwide organisation. We have an event in 150 cities and towns around the world today. And the whole point is that people with drug problems deserve support, not punishment. And people who take drugs shouldn't be criminalised. The war on drugs does untold harm, and we need to look at a different method. So we've tried to get a whole different variety of speakers here today, and very kindly we'd like to thank them all very much for coming down. So the first speaker we have today is the Minister for Drug Strategy, Aodhán Ó Ríordáin, and he's going to say a few words and tell us his thoughts on the current laws on drugs and what he thinks can be done. Aodhán, thank you very much.
A more honest conversation of what's actually happening, and to realise that our approach thus far is not working. And I think we have to come to a realisation that if we judge somebody or look at somebody with an addiction problem as being a criminal, then we're looking at that situation completely in the wrong way. I'm an advocate for the decriminalisation of drugs, because I don't think that somebody who uses drugs or has an addiction issue should be dealt with through the criminal justice system. If you look at the issue we have in our court system at the moment, about 70% of those who are there for drug convictions are there for drugs that have been caught in their own possession for their own personal use. That's 70% of the drug cases we have going through our courts, and I believe that's a complete and total waste of Garda time. I think it's a complete and total waste of the court's time, and it's not in any way addressing the issues or the needs of that person who is in front of the courts either. And it also prevents, in many respects, families to adequately deal with the drug issue that may be prevalent in their houses. And we also have an issue in this beautiful city of ours of so many of our citizens and our fellow citizens who, unfortunately, media and also politics have dehumanized many of our fellow citizens by calling them nicknames, calling them things like junkies, which is completely outrageous, because these are our fellow citizens who have a medical need. Their medical need has forced them to go down through alleyways, stairwells of flat complexes, parks and playgrounds to do what they feel they need to do. And I think we have to enforce or bring in legislative change to bring consumption rooms to this city, which have been brought to other cities around the world. If you look at what's happened in Sydney, or you look at what's happened across Europe, effectively you treat that person with dignity, you treat that person with respect, and you understand where that person is coming from. I think in Ireland we have to have an attitude change, because I don't think necessarily we really have enough of an expectation of what a drug user potential is, the potential of that human person, the potential of that individual, and what that individual can contribute to society. All we look at is the addiction and not the individual who is suffering from that addiction. So in order to do that, to change that, we have to have this conversation. But me being an advocate for decriminalisation or discussion about decriminalisation isn't enough. The Justice Committee of the Oireachtas actually went to Portugal recently. They investigated what's happened in Portugal for the last 10 years since decriminalisation came in there, and they were very impressed with what they saw. And they're having a joint meeting of the Health and Justice Committee in the Oireachtas next week, and they're going to be asking for submissions from the public as to what the public feel about the idea of decriminalisation. There will be people who have worries and concerns, and understandably so. And I think we need to be willing and able to engage with those people and to discuss the issue openly and frankly. And I think when that call for submission takes place, I really hope that you guys here and anybody that you have an influence over will join in that conversation. Because one thing, frankly, that isn't working, the idea of saying just say no isn't working anymore. And I don't think we're treating young people with respect. I don't think we're treating people with drug addictions with respect, or drug users with respect, when we just say no. To be honest, it's a cop-out. And I don't think people need cop-outs anymore when they're dealing with an issue such as drugs. So I appreciate what you're doing here. I appreciate the opening up of a conversation. I want to drive that conversation. I'm going to need your support, because there'll be plenty of people who don't agree with what I have to say. But I think if we conduct this discussion in a real and respectful and research-based way, well, then maybe we might get somewhere. Okay? Thanks very much for listening to what I have to say.